Yo ma, VFC released a push push. Before diving into a time where the Soviets had to wrap a cloth around the barrel in order to avoid burning their hands off. Let's make one thing abundantly clear. I purchased the VFC PPSH with my own money. This is not a sponsored video, and we are going to treat it with absolutely zero forgiveness. Before we start making out with the pros and dissing the cons, like that wooden stock that looks like a shellacked hot dog, let's take a look at all of its features. The weight of the PPSH is relatively authentic, being the entire thing is constructed of steel and wood. There are very minimal parts that are made of anything else. The stock sports a smooth wood finish with a sling mount on the left side only, the metal plate on the back, and a compartment that sports a nice place to hide a picture of SpongeBob at the Christmas party. As we move forward, there's so much metal on this thing you might forget it's Airsoft. We'll start off with the trigger guard, the trigger, and the fire selector switch. The fire selector switch has a fun mode and a semi mode, and your trigger is super long and kind of clicky. Your safety feature is actually found inside the bolt. It won't rack back unless you pull this little tab out to the right, and then obviously you have freedom of motion. It is an open bolt replica, which means it doesn't fire until you pull the trigger, thus dropping the bolt forward. When you combine the two side by side, the trigger is loose at the front with a noticeable break at the back, and then your trigger reset is long, to say the least. You do have a setting of iron sights that are adjustable and only 2 adjustments just by flipping it upwards and downwards. The downwards is kind of stiff, and then your front iron sight is a massive block that is elevation adjustable. Trying to figure out how to adjust your hop up, it is a TDC. There's a small little plastic block on the top that you can switch to the left, and you just got to stick an Allen key right inside that hole and then close it on shut. And lastly, your Magwell and your mag release, one of the weirder, more finicky parts. You can fold it out of the way, which is super nice. But when you go ahead and take the mag to place it on in, it's a little funky to get in place, and then it gets stuck unless you move this guy forward. So it only installs with that guy flipped down. Now to remove it, it's even weirder and a little bit more difficult. If you press this all the way in, sometimes it comes out, and other times it got stuck. I don't really know why that's the case. Maybe it's just tolerances, and over time it'll start to loosen. But it seems to be getting better as I wear it in a little bit. Now the mag is one of the more interesting designs that comes with the PPSH. It's something that we have only recently seen on some of the more recent gas blowback LMGs that have come out on the market. You do have your typical feed lips as well as your gas router. On the rear, you'll see your gas release valve, and then of course the block that stops it on empty. Now to load this guy, you can just load it from the top, and this is one ginormous gas reservoir, but if you want to save cash and not get more of these blocks, you just pop the cap off, take out the insert, and you can purchase a ton of these. This is your mid-cap mag, which means unlike a lot of your other gas blowback drum mags, there is no winding. This is just a gas reservoir. This is a propane and propane accessories only test. And of course the VFC GBBR PPSH, which just feels crazy. It sounds bonkers. What we're gonna do is the gas efficiency test first. We filled up a 120 round drum with BBs and gas. And what I wanna do is see on a single fill of gas how many BBs we can fire. And we should be locked in semi and ready to go. So I feel like my finger's gonna get tired after this. So 3, 2, 1. It's a very chunk, 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 chunk feel to it. Try and fire off some quick ones. That is a very long and aggressive trigger pull for starters. Dang. It's a lot of give on that too. So if I can dial that back a little bit, I can relax my finger a tad. so weird. It's like that backwards recoil because obviously it's a GBBR and not a real steel. So all of the weight in the bolt throws it forward instead of back at me the entire time. It feels like an old school, like World at War MG. That it? That's it. I'm just going to pop this open and throw another cassette in, and then we'll keep going on the same gas fill. All right, we got another drum filled up and ready to roll. I'm going to toss that baddie into the PPSH, and we should be ready to run our next set of rounds. Here we go. Just feels so authentic. I don't know how to explain it to you. Definitely pretty rattly. You're getting a little bit of rattle from the bolt, getting a little rattle from the drum. You definitely feel that through your the firing wrist, like it like rattles. Obviously nothing compared to like real steel, but it definitely rattles a ton, like more than your regular GBB. That bolt cycles so quick for an all steel replica. It moves fast. That was it. And we're out of rounds. We ran through that entire one. Let's fill another cassette into the mag. And this is cassette 3, gas fill 1. Let's run this again. Nothing? That was weird. No success on that one. So it looks like the BB didn't feed up all the way. Interesting. I think that is because of this guy. Yeah, but why does that get stuck? That's the question. All right, let's try this again. There we go. And we burst it into full auto, and that is a full gas fill out. So we got like 2 full mags and then like maybe 5 or 6 shots. Sorry that took so long. You know how it is. There's just so many BBs. But this time we're going to do the same exact thing except in auto and see how it fares. So we'll just go ahead and flip this guy up and I guess let her rip. Same gas fill and mag 2 on auto. That really felt like nothing I've ever felt before when it comes to a GBBR. That was just so different. It stopped like shooting BBs, but there's still rounds in there. Is that it? We are empty. You know, for some reason this thing just feels, I can't explain it, but it feels like it's supposed to be run on full auto and that's it. Like it shouldn't even have a semi-function. That was it. We're out of gas. Come on. Uh-oh. Well, that's not good. Now let's check out its accuracy. So I should have dialed in the hop-up bar right. I went through that little TDC that we spoke about before, and I have a setting of targets, 3 steel targets, squares about head size. You'll see them all here. So we'll see if we can double tap each one. You're using iron sights here, and it's a push, so bear with me. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, go. And then the other one. took a while to hit. I mean, it is a push, so chances are it's not going to be the most accurate thing in the world. Let's see if we can do that again, but a little faster. 3, 2, 1. That was a little better, but when it gets out to those ranges, it definitely, you get some miscellaneous flyers. Putting it around now, I'm in a crouch position, and we're going to test out 3 more targets. We're going to go close, close, medium, and then we'll go far away. In 3, 2, 1. I think I ran out. I was using whatever I had left in that mag, so we should. Yeah, we're empty. The Airsoft Chronograph preset now to 0.3 gram BBs. Let's see what our FPS is and our gappings. Let's try and line this guy up. It's a big barrel, so 222, 226, 215, 215, 235, 216, 216, 226, 213, 220, 222, 215, 213. So we're kind of all over the place here with numbers. Yeah, we're kind of all over the place here with numbers. It's ups and downs, but I would say a range of like 210 to 225 seems to be a safe zone. Now to take this thing apart, it's very reminiscent of the real steel variant. Make sure you rack the bolt and it stays back, and do not pull the trigger, otherwise you will break the nozzle during this process. You're going to take the rear, press it on in, and slowly and carefully rotate the entire upper receiver forward and out the front. Now what you need to do is be super careful. Again, you cannot just pull the trigger, you're going to break the nozzle. Hold the bolt back, release the trigger, and you can now pull it forward. And then you can pull this piece out the back, just up and out. It's that little plastic block, your guide rod and your spring. And then out the rear comes your bolt and your nozzle. Everything including pins, the upper, the lower, you name it, it is steel. But when it comes to the bolt is aluminum. That's what keeps it nice and lightweight. And just keep in mind your nozzle is spring assisted. Your guide rod is steel. You can pull that guy out the front by undoing that screw. Obviously got a steel spring. And then the big stop on the back to cushion it is just plastic or some sort of polymer. This next part may come as a surprise to you because I'm about to rip this thing a new one, because as much as I've been gawking over it because I love an old school World at War style replica, it's got some quirks. And specifically one of the biggest ones is this mag. Now it's difficult to open, don't get me wrong, kills my fingers after 3, 4, 5 times of doing it. I'm sure that I'll wear it, but that's not a big deal as long as it's sturdy and it works fine. But the cassette is where the real problems arise. Not to mention I completely broke the one that came with it, following the directions on the manual, but then was refused a refund, and I had to purchase 3 more, and I appreciate the company that I purchased it from. They were kind enough to take the time to get it to a different country and then send it to me so I didn't have to pay all the Chinese tariffs. Now the problem that happens here is the cassettes are 2 pieces mushed together by some screws, and that causes a problem because now the plastic is a little bit weaker because each prong or each fork is an individual piece. So now instead of 2 prongs holding your feed lips together and the BBs in place, you have 4. And the spot that busted is the thinner one right over here where that stop on empty function comes into place. That connects to that stop on empty function on the back of the gas reservoir, or that other, like the large trunk mag that the cassettes sit into. And this small piece is on like a neck, thin neck that it's on. So loading BBs from top down caused that small area to pry outwards, 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 outwards. And if the BBs aren't going down completely straight, it just snaps it off. As you can see on the stock one, that came with it. So after BSing in the heavy recoil Discord for quite a while, I'm sorry, the table is a disaster. I've been doing a lot of work on this thing recently. We came up with a solution. Someone mentioned that I should be using a GHK AK feed tube, which, weirdly enough, it does work. The only problem is it takes a hot minute because these tubes hold somewhere like, I feel like 30 rounds maybe, 35 rounds, and this holds 120, so you have to repeatedly do this. However, it does load them. It is by no means the efficient method though, because it's kind of aggressive and it just eats away at the BBs consistently, and it's also pulling whatever plastic this is apart and definitely wearing it on in. I don't know how long these cassettes are going to last at all, which is just upsetting because for shipping and taxes, I had to pay like $70 for 3 flying saucers. Now, I wish I could tell you it stops there, but it just doesn't. When you load the cassette into the mag, there's this small little prong up on the right, which is your stop on empty function, and you have to be really careful because if you load this in the wrong way, like let's say we push it just straight down, it pushes against that stop on empty function. So what I've learned is best to do is to load it top down first and then push the bottom in and then continue to apply pressure when throwing this guy on. Otherwise, sometimes this can wind up flying back upwards and causing that piece to get stuck again, and that is not what you want. I don't plan to spend the next hour whining and complaining, but the front of the mag rattles a ton. Very similarly themed. That's the last thing that I want to mention. I don't know if you could see it, but a lot of movement and wobble in the bolt, and a lot of that is now causing busted BBs, which isn't really an issue for some of the parts because they're steel and aluminum, but the nozzle is not. So hopefully that doesn't just obliterate my nozzle. And if it's going to, maybe they can make them more available in countries that are allowed to have this. Please don't get me wrong. I'm genuinely a fan. I like it. I'm a little biased because I do like the PPSH, but I like it. It's built, it's firm, it's quality, it's steel construction, and often VFC do a wonderful job. I think it is a great piece. I think it is fieldable. I think it should last you a decent amount of time with some quirks. I do think that the mags need to be addressed. I think there's some changes that they can make, making the mags, or at least the cassettes, a better quality, maybe solving the feed lip issue, maybe, I don't know, I don't know what you would do. I don't really know, but there's a few things that I think do need to be changed because with those breaking so easily, that's not a good thing. And I hope, I really, really, really hope that they don't break feeding with the loading tube, but maybe they could include one of those in the box because clearly that's the best way to load it if mine busted loading it the way they asked me to with a standard speed loader. And I really wasn't putting that much force into it. I think I loaded it like 3 times and I was just filming and it busted. And as soon as it busted, I pulled the bolt handle back and they just spewed out the top. So that was super unfortunate. But all in all, this thing is super cool. It's not the best replica of all time. If you're looking for something as like a first replica or something that you're going to be playing with all the time, I would not go with a PPSH. But if you're a collector like me and it's something that you just must have, it's definitely not the worst in the world. But I'll let you be the judge. So thanks for watching. Catch you guys in the next adventure. And please let me know what you thought. It helps a lot, and your feedback only allows me to understand what it is you guys want to see, if there's any changes that you guys want, what you do like, what you don't like, and it allows me to continue making content. So thanks.